What's going on, guys? Casey here with Fast Dads Racing, making another video on the pit bike builds. My brother's here, but he's not in the garage at the moment, but I'll show you guys him when he gets in here. And for today's video, I'm going to be getting the subframe cleaned up. As you can see, I pressure washed it before we took it apart, but they're just spots and just really hard to get the frame all cleaned up, get all the grime and dirt off of that. Have to get a tab welded on here for the foot peg mount because it broke off. But yeah, I want to get all that stuff clean. I want to get the forks clean. Don't mind my computer and stuff. Get the triple clamps cleaned up and basically get the bike back on, you know, the subframe on the frame, suspension back on it, just to hold it up, because I want to start mocking up the plastics here in the near future. Probably the next video, depending on what we get in today. Maybe I'll start today. I'm not putting the engine in yet because I still want to do a top end, so that'll stay out. And we have some parts coming. Me and my brother both ordered a matching set. I will drop a hint here. Something to do with these guys. But yeah, so we'll be getting them delaced, showing you guys the best way to do that, getting the tires taken off, the inner tubes out, all that good stuff. I'm not 100% sure what my brother's going to get into on his bike. I think he's probably on the same line as me, is getting everything cleaned up and getting it back together so we can start with the actual build. It's kind of dragging out. You know, we had some stuff to do in the shop and different things like that. We didn't make a video last week because the weather was too bad and I live like a half hour, 40 minutes away from him, and I still have the summer tires on my dumpster car. And it just, this was snow everywhere, wasn't very good. I wasn't taking a chance of driving up to make a video. But yeah, so we'll get back into it and get things rolling here and see where it goes. Alright guys, so we're continuing off with the video after cleaning some parts. It is actually the next weekend. Some stuff came up and I didn't get to finish the video in one day like I was hoping. So I will give you a sneak peek of the bike. Bam. So I got everything roughly mounted. These are 2010 to 2020 klx110l plastics on a 2016 ssr160tx, which normally has the old style KLX plastics. And we will go over kind of what I had to do to make it work. So the big difference between this and the old style KLX is the front shroud brackets are different. The KLX mounts to the frame. So I was fortunate enough that I could just bend them and tweak them a little bit to get them to line up where I needed. This is the other side, and that worked out good. So 2 holes on the front fender, they line up perfect, and then you got to drill 2 more holes, one here and one here, and then it'll be perfectly mounted up on the KLX, the old style, where them 2 bolts are. There's a tab that sticks out. You got to lop that off so the fender can clear. As you can see, with that old tab, it wouldn't have never fit, and that's why a lot of people have an issue. But you cut that off. The front number plate, which I have to order, just, you know, mounts right into there like normal. And then I ran zip ties on my old KLX when I did the updated number plate and fender, just to hold it here so it didn't flop around a little bit, but it's not too bad. And then a lot of people assume you need a new style tank also, but this is the old style tank. And I'll show you that when I tear it apart to kind of show you guys a little bit more. But it does fit over top. And the only thing is you have a little bit of a gap here. So the new style tank obviously fills this whole opening, but from back here you can't even tell. I'm 1.5 feet, 2 feet away from the bike and you can't tell, so not really a big deal. And then as you can see, the bolt hole there, that bolt lines up. This one here does not line up on either this bike or the KLX. So you can see it's really not that far off, but you have to make a little tab. You can use aluminum, thin steel, like what's on there right now. That's not permanent. That was just to kind of figure out what size I needed and make a template. But that's really all you do. And then you nut and bolt it. You can just run a regular bolt in the tab for the frame side. And here, this side, you can see right there's all the further that's off. So really not that far off. Just a little tab will take that up. And then quickly, that's the rear. Roughly, I have another rear fender that I'm going to use. So I was just roughly cutting this one to get it cut out and fit on there and see how well it fit. Just to make sure it was the same as the old KLX. But yeah, so that's it there. What you do is you end up drill 2 holes here, and you run your metal to here and here. You can bolt it in there and then nut and bolt it here. If you want to, which I think I might try to do, is take some aluminum, nut and bolt it here, and form it to the fender, and then come down to here, just to support it a little bit more when you wreck. I mean, right now you can see how much it moves. If you don't do that, that's what you're gonna have, and I don't care for that. That's kind of hackish when you can just easily make some pieces of metal that go from here to here, and it'll stop doing that. So let's get these tore back off, and I will show you the fitment on the tank. Alright guys, so we got everything off. Here's the tank shroud. Taking it off, show you. Old style tank. Plastics, not modified any way at all, but it slides right over. You know, you take your fuel cap, screw it on there, bam, get it where you want it. Like I said, brackets, so it's pretty simple. You don't have to go out and buy an expensive tank just to be able to do all this. You can use the same one. Rear fender here, cut the battery tray off. I will show you. This is the stock fender. So you basically cut all that crap off. You cut it right down there, as you can see. I've trimmed the bare minimum of what I could to get it to fit in here, just so I had more meat to work with. And yeah, that's it. It's pretty simple. I know a lot of people were interested in it. It kind of sounds terrifying to get into because you just not a lot of information out there, so I figured we'd make this video go going. But yeah, so the frame's all cleaned up. These motor mounts were in parts washer. They sat in there trying to get the coating off, so we're gonna sand them down at some point and paint them before the engine goes back in. We still got to weld our tab on for our foot peg mount. Got the triple trees and the forks all cleaned up and ready to go. I don't really know the next step is, honestly. Waiting for parts to come in the mail. I want to tear the engine down and get it cleaned up. So that's probably the next thing I'll do. I don't know if you guys want to see that or not. I might just bust it out and get it ready to go back in. But yeah, I will show you the side plates. So I actually, unfortunately, have to buy a new side plate because I got carried away with the trimming. So here's the side plates. This is for this side of the bike. That's how much you have to trim off. You trim off a little bit right here above that bolt hole, just so it can get up around the seat. Make sure you leave your tab on so it slides into the front fairing. And then what was right here that I trimmed off was like this piece that sits up straight up like that. You trim that off and then it'll go because this is too tall to fit under the seat. It hits and then doesn't let your back hole line up, so you trim that off. This is the one that I ruined. As you can see, I trimmed way too much off. So yeah, you can see the gap between the seat and the side plate. So I'll order a new set of them. I mean, it's all part of the process. I bought all this stuff used just for this reason, so I could hack it up and get everything to fit as tight and as factory looking as possible. And you know, that happens. For some reason, I had this one mounted on the bike, and I didn't think it was as wide as it was. I thought this one was wider, so I was like, oh, I'll just trim all that off now instead of mounting it on and realizing that it wasn't going to work and then have to retrim it. So I was like, oh, I'll just trim it, and started hacking away. And as soon as I went to mount it, I realized I messed up. But no big deal. They're pretty cheap. The front plastics, the tank shroud, is the most expensive part. So I'm glad you don't have to modify that. You can cut these off, like right here, if you really want to, but you need to make sure you keep that so the side plate can clip into it. I'm not going to cut that off because there's really no reason to. It clears, it doesn't hit anything, it's not affecting nothing, it fits under the seat, so there's no point in taking a chance of messing it up. And then on the rear fender, I trimmed off, you got to trim off at least to here. Trim this off just like that, because if not, your side plate won't go on. And I rounded this corner just because this side was rounded, so I was like, I'll round it just so it matches. But yeah, you got to get rid of all this here. This whole piece has got to go, you know, and you're gonna have your cut line. It's gonna be somewhere in here, but you can cut that out basically if you want to, just like that, and then across. And then I did a little bit of trimming right here just so it didn't hit the subframe, just to get a nice tighter fit. But as you can see, I didn't really trim off that much. That spot would have been like right here. Didn't really trim off that much, but I'm gonna get my brackets made for this as soon as I get some flat aluminum and finish getting stuff cleaned up. I got some parts on the way, new wheels, I'm getting new handlebars, all of the wear and tear parts like this stuff, because it's all beat up and wore out. I mean, you can see how bent that is. This bike was pretty neglected. And I think that's going to conclude this video. But I will get this edited, put up, and posted for you guys so you can check out the plastic mod. And comment down below if you have any questions about it, if I didn't go over anything clear enough, and I will answer all your questions. Don't mind the plug. For the light, we still haven't got them finished yet. We've just been busy with work and everything like that. But yeah, comment down below if you got any questions about this. I'll gladly help. Like this video, hit that subscribe button if you want to stay tuned for more crazy stuff like this and other builds and some riding videos coming up, hopefully within the next month or two, maybe first ride on the bike. And you guys have a good night. Actually, one more thing, I ordered a new hardware kit. I got it from Tusk. It was like $35 shipped to the house. As you can see, everything that it comes with. Packaged real nice. Everything's in bags, separated. You got sprocket bolts. I don't know if all this stuff's gonna work. This is just kind of a general bolt kit for any dirt bike. But it's got a ton of these plastic bolts and stuff. This is what I'm using to mount all my stuff with. Getting rid of all my old, crappy, worn out nuts and bolts and putting all fresh units in. But it's got a lot of variety. You know, we got nuts over here, some smaller nuts. Comes with washers, cotter keys, or pens, whatever you want to call them. It's got some small, tiny Allen heads, which would, I'm gonna assume, are maybe carburetor bolts, but they kind of look a little big for that, but I don't really know what you would use that on a bike for. Tusk part number. Get yourself some new hardware, really cheap. Nice little touch to all this stuff. And yeah, thanks for staying tuned.